Hello crafters, welcome back for another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm mixing two totally different things in techniques, hot foiling and watercolor. Here I've already set up my Glimmer hot foil system. I have a gorgeous hot foil plate, this is flower pattern plate, and I've switched my machine on to let it heat up for the foiling process. Now, while it is heating up, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can label your foils. I've been cutting the barcode off the packaging that my foil comes in and adhering it on the inside of the hot foil roll to be able to easily tell what foil I'm using. This is very helpful as it's not always easy to identify the foil by its color alone. And I've already labeled most of my foils this way. Here I have a newly opened foil roll and I'm going to trim the barcode out, use some very strong double-sided tape. I like to use red tape for this, and stick the barcode with the item number on the inside of the foil roll. Super easy. While I was chatting, my machine has become hot and it's time to foil. I'm going to use this gorgeous polished brass foil to foil the flower pattern on white cardstock. I had covered my plate with my shims, but actually forgot to add the cardstock that I was planning to foil on. So here I added it over the foil, placed my shims, and I'm ready to run this through my Deep Sea die cutting machine by Jane Davenport. Now the key here is to go slow. Ready to see the foil result? I always love this moment when I peel the foil away and see the gorgeous foiled outcome. Isn't this beautiful? Now the negative also looks stunning here, and I'm going to save it for another card later. I really don't want to waste all of this beautiful foil. I had the idea of adding color to my foiled piece with the help of watercolors. I wanted to add some touches of pink and yellow to liven up this design, so I decided to use a new product by Spellbinders and Jane Davenport, the color sticks. These are very creamy sticks of gorgeous colors that you can use for mixed media projects, journals, canvases, and also for your handmade cards. You can color with these directly on paper or use a water brush to pick up the color and apply it onto the paper for a lighter look. I have selected and tested several colors and I'm ready to color. The first one I'm using is called French Kiss. It's a beautiful pink color. It can be very vibrant, or if you dilute it with water, you can have softer shades of pink on your project. I'm going to color this foiled image as if it was stamped. I'm applying the same coloring principles that I would if this was a stamp and not a hot foil piece. I should mention that I'm using regular cardstock for this card. It's not watercolor paper. You certainly can foil on watercolor paper. It is best to use smooth paper or hot-pressed watercolor paper for best results. I would not recommend using cold-pressed watercolor paper as it has texture, and the texture will prevent you from having a perfect foil transfer. That being said, because I'm coloring on regular, non-watercolor paper, I'm being mindful of how much water I add to the paper. Regular paper cannot take and it cannot hold a lot of water without buckling up heavily. So make sure you use just a little bit of water here when applying colors using the color sticks. Brassy Looks is the name of the yellow color that I'm using for the yellow flowers on this design. Violet Eyes is the color used for the purple flowers. And finally, Aquamarine is used for the teal flowers and branches. When you color with the color sticks, if you'd like to have more saturated colors on your paper, you can add a bit of water to the color stick itself. This will soften up the pigment and will make it easier for you to pick up the pigment from the color stick and transfer it to the paper. That's how I made some of the purple flowers here darker and some lighter. I was using the same color stick, but added more or less pigment to them to have different shades of purple. Here's a look at the finished colored panel. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to trim this down to about 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch and adhere this panel to a pool card base. The color of cardstock used to make the card base is Cool Pool, and this is a product by Font Stamper's Journey, available on the Spellbinders website. Next, I had a lot of deliberation about my sentiment placement on this card, and finally I ended up foiling one directly on my colored panel. Now, I should have done this before I adhered the panel to the card base, but regardless, it worked out great in the end. I picked a beautiful hot foil plate from another set from Spellbinders. This is from Hey Beautiful set by Paul Antonio. I trimmed a piece of foil to size, and then I used a ruler to make sure I had placed the plate straight on my panel. Now here, I also used small pieces of low-tech tape to actually secure the hot foil plate in place on my card, as I really couldn't afford to foil it in the wrong spot. I don't typically do this, but it worked out fine, and it did foil beautifully on this panel. That's the beauty of using hot foil. You can foil over already existing design without ruining your previously foiled layer. You can build and layer several designs and foil them one on top of the other, and even use different colors of foil if you like. Here I used the same foil for all of the foiled pieces. I finished this card by adding Birthday Wishes sentiment foiled on the same Pool Cool cardstock, cut it to a thin strip, and foam mount it on the card. I hope you will give this idea a try. If you do, remember to share online and tag us on social media. We always love seeing what you guys are making. On the screen, there are links to other videos featuring Glimmer hot foil system. Subscribe now not to miss any new card making tutorials. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.